This week on Music Worth Buying, we're going to be featuring This Is Happening by Riddle and the Stars.
And Song Reader, featuring songs by Beck.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Music Worth Buying. My name is Robert Kinsler and I'm a music writer and a musician.
And my name is TJR. I'm a musician and a music writer.
Now, I guess I'm going to kick things off this week.
You are.
On a previous episode, we talked about the band The Fallen Stars. Mm-hmm. They're based in Orange County, California, actually specifically Huntington Beach. And they're in the midst, or at that time they were in the midst of working on this kind of tribute to the television show Firefly. Mm-hmm. And they had finished Volume 1, and I understand they're working on Volume 2, mm-hmm. where they're doing a song for every episode and for the movie based mm-hmm. on Joss Whedon's Firefly series. And then also, they have another album that's going to be coming out soon called Way Out West, but we're actually not going to be talking about either of those projects. What we're going to be talking about is This Is Happening. Now, what this is a unique collaboration, a one-time collaboration they did with Ben Riddle. They were on tour in Germany in 2013, The Fallen Stars, and they met, I guess they played some shows with Ben. He's an Australian singer-songwriter, and I guess they got along really well. Ben Riddle actually, I think in the fall of 2013, flew out to Southern California, and over the course of 15 days, they tracked 17 songs,
wow.
which is pretty impressive.
It is.
And not all those songs are on This Is Happening, but the majority of those songs are. Some of the songs, if you're a fan of The Fallen Stars, you might be familiar with a couple of the songs, but many of these songs, at least I was not familiar with them, and I assume either they were written by all three of them, or Bobo and Tracy of The Fallen Stars, or Ben Riddle, but they've collaborated. It's primarily the three of them, and it's a really great Americana acoustic styled album, just really warm, rich recordings. Just love the harmonies, love everything about it. So before we talk a little bit more about This Is Happening, let's actually listen to one of my favorite songs, and it's called The Sea. And let's listen to a little bit of The Sea here.
There's something in the magic we can't see, teaching us the secrets of the sea.
And that song is The Sea, mm-hmm. one of many great songs on This Is Happening. And I really like how you hear male vocals, and you hear Tracy's female vocals, and you hear the harmonies that come in, just the whole mix of like with the mandolins and the guitars, and then the way the voices are used. I find it very artful. You know, it's pretty much a sparse acoustic type mm-hmm. recording, but it's very beautiful and very, like I said, artful is a word that comes to mind. I think they've put some real thought into about how do you mm-hmm. construct these songs and really have them kind of convey these emotions.
I like the way they harmonize. I thought they harmonized very well together. The two voices of them.
Yeah.
Both Tracy and Ben Riddle,
yeah.
the way their voices went together. I also like the way the acoustic guitars and the mandolins were blended as well.
Yeah, it sounds really good. And like I said, this is a very sparse package. It's in an eco wallet, but very beautiful. And we just listened to The Sea, and I think you see looks like it's a sea here on the cover. Just very beautiful. And that song, and also kind of has some traits of like British folk music or mm-hmm. Celtic music, but also it sounds Americana. It's mm-hmm. really interesting how they've taken all these various influences they have, and I think they've done a good job of making those things work on this disc and stuff. And like I say, I think the next song I want to hear a little bit of is, let's listen a little bit of the title track, This Is Happening. Okay. Let's play a little of that and see what you think.
Cool. Yeah, let's check it out.
Driving down here, this doesn't feel right. The deep, they hit strong. It's still summer, too hot to be out, but the show must go on. This is happening.
Okay, first listen, I really like that. This song I like the way the song takes its time. Mm-hmm. There's that whole opening verse where it's just very sparse with just the guitar, and then the second verse, a little bit of percussive effect. The second voice comes in. Mm-hmm. Third voice, some distorted electric guitar comes in, and I like the way it just builds very slowly and emotionally.
Yeah. And that's why I say when I read, it was either on their website or something, how they had done so many songs in such a short amount of time, and he had flown here, to Southern California from Australia. So obviously, and yet how elaborate these arrangements
time is of the
are.
essence.
Yeah, time is of the essence, and just how fully realized these songs are. As, not only as compositions, but just the whole way that they play out on the album. It sounds like this is, some artists take a year and they don't get what these three people, the Fallen Stars and Ben Riddle got, just in a couple weeks. It's phenomenal, and I'm just
15
really
days.
And this is an independent. I don't think they're on a label or anything like
they're
that.
not.
But it is on iTunes, I'm sure, and you probably buy this at Amazon, and for sure at the Fallen Stars website. So definitely support them, and all their albums are good. I mean, we love Leaves on the Wind, and of course we love Firefly, and then also Heart Like Mine, which was one of their earlier albums. I love that one too, and I can't say enough. They may be from Surf City, Huntington Beach, but boy, they have their pulse on kind of when you think of Americana music, rural or roots music, they get that, and it's in their DNA. So what did you bring in today?
Well, okay, I've got an album. I want to keep saying by Beck, but it's not by Beck. No, but it is. Okay. So here's the quandary. Prior to recording Morning Phase, Beck's latest album, a few years back, Beck released a collection of new songs, but he didn't record them. He released them as sheet music only. And you could buy this beautiful package, which we'll talk about in a little bit, which was just this book which had these separate individual solo pieces of sheet music with beautiful art on them, beautiful graphics, and the only way you could hear this new collection of songs by Beck was to perform them, to learn how to play them. And so this meant only musicians could hear these songs first. And if you weren't a musician, you were going to have to wait until you heard someone perform them. And Beck invited musicians everywhere, both professional and amateur, to go ahead, perform these songs. And now that we have the internet, you can do this. And so musicians everywhere, both professional and amateur, on the internet, all around the world, began performing these songs. And these songs could be interpreted very openly because we had no previous recordings to listen to. We only had the sheet music. And the sheet music wasn't so detailed. It said, okay, now the bass is going to play this, and the keyboards play this. It's like, no. It's just like, here's a melody line. You got a melody line. You got chords. Maybe you got guitar chord charts. Maybe occasionally he'd throw in, here's a horn part I think would be good here. But other than that, here's your basic guide. Where you go from here is up to you. And so a lot of musicians on the internet began doing their renditions of these songs. So I guess it was only inevitable that in time there would be a CD put together. Beck did act as a producer on this. And, but by and large, these artists, some of them well-known, some of them probably not so well-known, maybe to you out there, went and did their renditions of these songs. And I think one of the amazing things about this is that you could do this album again with a whole different batch of artists, and it would be a different album. Some of the more well-known artists on this include Norah Jones, Jack White, Jack Black. We're getting closer and closer to that Jack White and Jack Black collaboration that we know just has to happen someday. And just for the title alone, there are some perhaps not so well-known artists. Juanes, whom you've talked about in the past, does his song completely in Spanish. The song wasn't originally in Spanish, but he translated it to Spanish. There are some instrumental tracks on here, and I'm not even sure myself, since I haven't looked at this sheet music myself. I'm really sorry I haven't. I wished I had. Where they've been done as instrumentals, and who knows, maybe the originals had lyrics, I don't know. But it's completely open to interpretation. We have no original recordings to go off of. So it's just entirely up to how you interpret it. And so before I'll talk a little bit more about the packaging and about the songs, but let's go ahead. I am going to pick, for my first pick, one of the more well-known artists on this. This is Norah Jones performing It's Just Noise by Beck.
If you hear my heart breaking and you don't know what it is, don't be alarmed, it won't do you no harm. It's just noise, it's just noise, it's just noise, it's just noise.
I got to see Nora Jones at Stagecoach not long ago, but my first encounter with her was at a tribute to Graham Parsons, where I think she did the Streets of Baltimore or something like. And this is what brought to mind just a really rich connection she has, kind of to that authentic country sound, and some of the great female country singers, like Patsy Cline, like you mentioned off camera and stuff. And I just like that, and I think that's way more than just noise. I really like that track.
Yeah, it's a great track.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you know, who knows? You know, when you look at the sheet music, I'm sure it doesn't. It probably doesn't say, you know, played in this style, this genre.
Yeah.
It's just here's melody line, here's chords. You know, here's a couple. It depends. It might vary from piece of sheet music to piece of sheet music as to how much instruction it actually gives you.
Well, she definitely made that song
Oh
her
yeah,
own.
yeah.
It's a very
I
good
really
song,
enjoy
yeah.
that one. Now, packaging, I want to just talk about it really quick here. This comes in the standard jewel case. The booklet enclosed is fantastic on this. Beyond telling you who's doing what I really like about this, first of all, there's this great essay by Beck on why he wanted to do a collection of new songs available on sheet music only. He goes into great depth about this. This essay is great. This essay is actually kind of slightly altered from what is included in the package when you buy the song reader, the book, where you get the actual sheet music. It's slightly adapted from that for this release, and but this is well worth reading. He talks a great deal about where we've come from. He talks about how Bing Crosby had a song that sold, you know, hundreds of thousands of copies, sheet music copies in the United States. Because that's what publishing originally was. Publishing was originally about the sheet music. That's, you know, and the thing is that it kind of tells me a little bit about how far, I hate to say, we here in America have declined as far as music literacy. I kind of maintain the opinion that right now in America, we are a musically illiterate nation for the most part. There was once a time when most middle class to upper class homes had a piano in them. Pianos were fairly affordable then because they were more mass produced. Pianos are more expensive now because very few people play an instrument anymore. And so most households had a piano or somebody that could play the guitar. And so sheet music was a thing that people, you know, recorded music was probably actually more expensive to own, you know, to play recorded music was not that prevalent. You had more people just for entertainment playing songs in the household. And it was a common form of entertainment that people would gather on the piano and sing a song. Someone in the household at least knew how to play the piano, and that's how you enjoyed a song. You know, maybe you'd hear it on the radio when it played on the radio, but recorded music was not that prevalent at that point. You know, the idea of having records, you know, of owning a recording of the music was not that prevalent. So you bought the sheet music and you played it. And to me, it's kind of sad how far we've declined as far as musical literacy in this country, in that so few people, for most Americans, music is something that's done to them rather than something they do. I noticed that difference when I went to Europe and played out in Europe. You know, music is something that majority of people do rather than have done to them because they didn't take music education out of their schools the way we have here. So that's kind of a sad note, but let's move forward now on more positive things. One thing I love about this is that it gives you a little look. Each song had its own separate piece of sheet music, and it gives you the artwork, and it lets you see how gorgeous this artwork is. If you didn't read sheet music, I would say this collection, I'm going to have to go buy it. I don't know why I didn't earlier. But this collection is worth getting just for the artwork. You know, this would have been a full-size piece of sheet music just for the beautiful artwork on each song. And it's gorgeous looking. Yeah, we can't look at it that well here.
But you can see a little better like this.
The artwork on this is on each song that accompanies each piece of sheet music is just fantastic to look at. So I think it would have been worth it just for that. And it mentions, of course, what groups are playing on it. Some critics have described Song Reader, the album, as a mixed bag, which they say, well, it can't help it because you've got all these different artists interpreting these songs. But I kind of feel in many respects that Song Reader reminds me a lot of Beck's first album, Mellow Gold. When that album came out, Beck described it as a twisted, alternate universe version of one of those Solid Gold hits albums that would have come out back in like the 70s, where you had these record albums coming out where it was just a compilation of radio hits from different artists. So they were a mixed bag. And he described Mellow Gold as like each song. He said, I thought of each song as being recorded by a completely different artist. Every song is completely different from each other. It was called Mellow Gold, and it was supposed to be this twisted version of Solid Gold, of Solid Gold albums.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the modern equivalent would be those CD packages called, now that's what I call music.
Right.
You know. And so I don't know if I prescribe to the whole mixed bag theory. I feel like that kind of reminds me of Beck's first album. And anyways, so let's go ahead and check out another song. And I'm going to go with the one that Jack Black recorded. Jack Black's kind of an interesting choice for this, you know, to a certain extent. But he brings a sense of theatricality to this track. We All Wear Cloaks. And this song feels to me like it could have come out of one of those vintage Looney Tunes cartoons.
Okay.
His version, at least. So here we go.
Salamander rolling zigzag, marching to a humdrum, between the truth and a cryptogram, like skeletons struck dumb. In a closet, guilt and camouflage, all the secrets of the world. Your conscience running roughshod, swine are throwing back your pearls. We all wear cloaks.
You know, everybody knows Jack Black from all his great movies and everything.
Tenacious D.
Yeah, Tenacious
Of course,
D. Yeah, exactly.
And he's a great rock vocalist.
Yeah.
You know, he really is. I mean, you know, the Tenacious D albums are comedy, but he's a great rock vocalist. Yeah.
But I like this. Immediately that came to mind. Like, I know you mentioned the old, like, Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
But I was thinking almost like something like Nightmare Before Christmas or something Danny Elfman might do for like a Pee-wee.
Yeah.
You know, Pee-wee
Herman movie.
Yeah, Pee-wee Herman movie. But just a lot of fun. But, you know, the Beatles also like to have fun with some of their recordings, too. Like Obla Di Obla Da or something. Yeah. So I really like I mean, I definitely want to hear this album. At least it's something different.
It is completely different. And like I said, there could be more versions of this album. The only thing that might taint it is if somebody has already listened to this now. This becomes the version that they get married to.
The version of record in their mind.
In their mind, yeah. Whereas if they haven't heard it before, they're just going to open the sheet music and you know, let's see how I would do this. You know? And I'm going to have to go buy the sheet music. I don't know why I didn't do it sooner, but I'm going to go get it now. I'm just not sure what was going on at that time that for whatever reason, I passed up on that. I'm a huge Beck fan. I have pretty much every album he's ever done. And yeah. So, anyways, so there you go.
Yeah, really like
Songwriter.
that. Yeah, thanks for bringing that in, songwriter. Yeah, and Beck always deserves attention. Yeah, he's good. Such an interesting, talented artist.
It's amazing to me. You know, Beck is one of those guys. It's like I'm impressed that he's had this much mainstream success, and as he has, you know, and I think it's a positive sign to me that he has, because Beck is one of those. When I listen to his album, I think, you know. You'd think he'd be one of these indie artists toiling in obscurity. I'm glad he's not.
Yeah.
And that he's able to keep making music the way he wants to make it.
Yeah, that well said, and I couldn't agree more.
I hope the same happens for more independent artists out there.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, thanks for bringing that in. Really like that.
Thank you for bringing in This Is Happening.
Yeah, Riddle and the Stars, and definitely support Beck and Riddle and the Stars. These are two great artists doing it their way without any compromise, and that's to be celebrated for sure.
So please click under more info where you can link to the blog, link to Amazon. I'll link you to Amazon, where you can listen to more samples and purchase and show your support. And until next time, we thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't. Thank you, everybody who shared the show on Facebook and Twitter. We really do appreciate it a lot. And keep your comments coming in. We like that, too, very much. We read them all. And till next time, I'm TJR. You can check out my music at tjrmusic.com, where you can subscribe to my mailing list for my private music projects. And you can check out my solo reviews on the channel here, Music Worth Buying, the YouTube channel.
And my name is Robert Kinsler, and of course you can read more of my stuff at ocregister.com and at musicworthbuying.com.
And at
musicnewsnashville.com.
That's right. You're just all over the place,
I'm
man.
all over,
Yeah.
I can't keep track, but
World
I'm
domination.
out there. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, okay. All right. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Hey, see you later, everybody.
Bye-bye.